Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg. This is Monday morning, the beginning of week 8 of the 100 Book Challenge, where I have challenged myself to read 100 books that I already own before buying another book. And I am standing here near an abandoned golf course that used to be a Union campground during the Battle of Fredericksburg. And it's also a holiday, so I probably will not be reading a whole lot today. I do have to read The Color Out of Space by H.P. Lovecraft, because I read a Lovecraft story every Christmas Day. That's a new tradition. I have not had the best start to this reading week. Monday was, of course, Christmas holiday, and I did get a little bit of reading in. I got to read my Lovecraft story, The Color Out of Space. I started a book and I got to, maybe about 20 pages. And then all the holiday stuff started kicking into high gear. I had to go to the sister-in-law's house where we had a very excellent prime rib dinner with some lobster mac and cheese and some mashed potatoes. But not a whole lot of reading got done. The sister-in-law and her partner, they wanted to watch a movie. They were going to watch Maestro with Bradley Cooper, but they got it about 10 or 15 minutes into that, and it was just too highfalutin of a movie for them. So the sister-in-law decided she wanted to watch Leave the World Behind, which is sort of a thriller of sorts, sort of science fiction. And my wife hated that movie so much. It was way too intense. The story is that there's some sort of cyber attack on the United States, and all communications and power eventually goes out, and the people are stranded on Long Island. That movie had so many plot holes. I thought it was a sieve. I was sort of chuckling at about how unbelievable it was. My wife was just saying, "Oh, this is too intense. This is too intense. This is too intense." And I'm going, "No, it's not intense at all." But that's just the way it goes sometimes. And then I had Tuesday to do some reading. I read about a half a book. And then came Wednesday, got a little bit of reading done, but my wife had invited the neighbors over to play Super Samba, which is a huge card game, which lasts about 3 hours. I usually bow out of these card games, but you need an even number of players. And they had an odd number of players, so, I'm the odd man in. And I'm not really fond of playing cards, but, you do it for the wife. So that day, the afternoon was shot, because, of course, before the guests come over, you have to make sure that house is spick and span and not one item is out of place, lest the neighbors wag their tongues about how sloppily we live. And then the evening, I had my live show talking about All About Holly, the Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. And so my day was shot yesterday reading. But today, Thursday, I finally got to finish my 42nd book. And that was Ironweed by William Kennedy. This won the Pulitzer Prize back when it was published. It is technically a reread for me. I listened to the audiobook, 15, 20 years ago. And this is a very good book. It is solidly in that literature category. It's very well written. The characters are very, very in-depth. but it is a story set in 1938 New York, Albany to be specific. And the character is Francis Phelan, and he is a hobo, a bum. He used to have a good life. He used to be a professional ball player with the Washington Senators. He was married. He had a son. And then tragedy sort of struck. It's pretty obvious early on that his son died at 13 weeks, and Francis, he was responsible for his son's death. And that sent his life into a tailspin of alcoholism and just being roaming around, being that hobo and a bum. But there's something about this era, the late 30s, the Depression, the destituteness of Francis that is just totally fascinating. And how he gets along with his life, how he thinks about his life, how he refused to divorce his wife because he was a Catholic. And he's sort of taken up with another bum woman, or I should say homeless woman, although homeless is not the word they used in the 1930s. And they have a relationship. They can't get married because Francis refuses to get divorced. But they have a relationship, sort of off and on. And it's just Francis going about his life as a bum. I found it utterly fascinating. Now, I remember William Kennedy being interviewed on 60 Minutes when he won the Pulitzer Prize. And the interviewer, I can't remember which guy it was, said, "Why are you writing about a bum when you're such a talented writer?" And I don't exactly remember William Kennedy's response, but he says, "That's the story I wanted to tell." And it's a good story, and I can highly recommend it.
Get to work. Now I used to be like TikTok, make a lot of money, but if I have to do all this and hold the camera.
I have finished my 43rd book, Jurassic Florida by Hunter Shea. This is a very cheesy horror novel. Off the coast of Florida, radicals have destroyed an oil pipeline that leaks oil into nature right in front of a coming hurricane. And this combination of oil and hurricane release vicious, giant iguanas into Florida. And what do these iguanas love to do? They love to destroy, and they love to eat people. This is a novel with absolutely no redeeming qualities. The writing is really rather bad, but it's a lot of fun because you got lots of giant iguanas running around Florida, destroying things and eating people, and people trying to run away. It's a killer animal book. You can't expect much from it. Is it as good as the classic killer animal books like The Rats from James Herbert? Absolutely not. James Herbert, why not a grand master of literature, could create some memorable characters in bad situations. And you could feel for those characters and their impending doom. The characters in this book do have a lot of impending doom, but you're sort of like getting, come on, Hunter, let's get to the killing, come on. You don't really care. They're not fleshed out. They're very cardboard. And I think that Hunter Shea, to be a better writer, should probably read more books and watch less movies. That's sort of my interpretation. But, this comes in a trilogy. One Size Eats All. And the other two books in the trilogy apparently feature other killer animals going munch, 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 munch. So I will get to those eventually. It's fun. I have finished book 44, one of the greatest science fiction novels ever written. Who Goes There by John W. Campbell, originally published in 1938. This is probably my third, fourth reading of this book, somewhere around that. And it really is a great little novella. Almost everyone is going to know the story of a group of explorers or scientists in the Arctic. They're studying magnetism. And then they discover a crashed spaceship that's about 20 million years old. It's been under the ice. And they discover a body of a hideous alien that just looks monstrous and mean and vicious. They take it out of the ice, and they thought, because their biologist says no creature could survive and live after 20 million years under the ice. But the biology of this creature is unlike anything these humans have ever encountered before. And this creature can change shapes. It can absorb creatures and imitate them perfectly. And then they have to discover that, of course, this creature is not dead. And it starts taking over their dogs, it starts taking over their cows, it starts taking over themselves. I love this story. And what's amazing is that this story was written in 1938. If you have not read this yet, if you've only seen the movie, do yourself a favor. Read this novella. It will shoot to the top of your favorite science fiction stories. I'm pretty sure about that. I have finished my 45th book, The Bedside Mad. This was collected from Mad Magazine. That is sort of the author is William M. Gaines. There are probably some other authors in here that are not attributed. And this was originally published in 1959. At least this edition of the paperback was, which makes this paperback older than me. The earliest comics in this were published in 1952. And they're essentially just a whole bunch of parodies on what was going on back in 1950s, because it's 52, 56, up to 59. And you have parodies of Tales from the Crypt with an animated pile of garbage, which falls in love with another pile of garbage. You have a parody of The Lone Ranger called The Lone Stranger, where Tonto is something you don't expect him to be. You have parodies of The Cane Mutiny by Herman Wouk. This is listed as Cane, C-A-N-E, and really it's just an out-and-out parody of Wouk's novel. And you have a parody of Robinson Crusoe. Parts of that were my favorite, because in this one, Robinson Crusoe swims out to his shipwrecked vessel and discovers the casks of rum. And there's this one page where he said, "Oh, I was working real hard, so I went out for a sip of rum." Next panel. "I was tired, so I went out and took a sip of rum." Next panel. "I went out for another sip of rum." So you know in this one, Robinson Crusoe is just filthy drunk. And I found that really amusing that you would sort of be pushing alcohol to a comic that was sort of pushed for underage boys, you know? I guess the people back in the 50s weren't all that concerned about boys drinking or being exposed to alcohol. I kind of liked it. Now, the one thing about this book is that the panels are sort of reduced from the original comic. They're much smaller than the original size. I presume some of the text was a little difficult to read without my eyeglasses. Is this a great book? Oh, hell no. Was it fun? Yeah. It's really amusing to look at this and see what stood for humor in 1959. It's kind of fun. You can find these in used bookstores every now and then. I would not pay a lot of money for this book. I think I paid $3, and that's about all that it's worth. Okay, I'm going to call that a wrap for week 8. It is only about noon on December 31st. If I tried really hard, I could probably squeeze in a short book or a play or a novella, but I'm just going to take it easy for the rest of the day and start a longer book that will be counted for week 9. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.